Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on The Conversation. Now, Libya is on the brink of division due to escalating internal and external pressures. Now, the country's Prime Minister, Abdelhamid Al-Dubeida, and UN Representative Stephanie Curry have sounded the alarm on the rising threat of partition, fueled by intensifying geopolitical tensions between the U.S. and Russia. Now, temporary relief has come from the Central Bank and National Oil Corporation's management of oil revenues. However, the ongoing political stalemate and growing international involvement threaten Libya's unity. Now, there are three possible scenarios, that loom from Libya's future. A federal solution, a complete reunification through military dominance or political settlement, or partition into two or more entities. Now, can Libya find a path to unity and stability amidst these present challenges? Now, that is the major question for today. And to join us in answering this and more, we have Dr. David Matanga, African Affairs Analyst in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Matanga.
Thank you very much for all the time working for Africa.
Oh, fantastic. We can hear you now. Thank you for joining us. Now, Prime Minister Abdelhamid Al-Dubeida recently warned that Libya is prone to partition. Now, do you think that the current trajectory that we're seeing now, do you think that it is leaning towards a partition, or is there still hope for reunification?
First of all, thank you very much for bringing this topic, because why partition a country? Why are we partitioning? Let's look for the root causes of why this country is divided into two. The root causes goes back to the people who instigated, who used Resolution 1973 of the United Nations Security Council. France used that resolution to cover itself. Mr. Sarkozy personally used that resolution to cover himself, to maintain Libya as it is, divided between west, the east, Benghazi, and then Tripoli. Of Libya by NATO and the NATO countries that are now concentrating on taking out the oil, the minerals, the wealth of Libya. That's why I have come to the international arena. I want to resurrect the debate. Why do you want to divide this country into two? Why?
Oh, okay, Dr. Matanga. Now, with the escalating international rivalries, between the U.S. and also Russia in Libya, how significant is the involvement of foreign powers in exacerbating Libya's fragmentation?
The foreign powers are very many. I can count for you. In Tripoli, we have Turkey, Italy, United Nations. Some members of United Nations support the government in Tripoli. Only in the west, in Benghazi, we have United Arab Emirates. That's #1 country enemy for Africa today. United Arab Emirates, France, Russia. For the first time, Russia has connived with France of the Nile corridor up to Sudan. Nobody about that. Then we have countries like Egypt that has literally annexed part of Libya, and they support General Khalifa Haftar. Now, the complication here is all this has come because they are interested companies linked to Sarkozy, companies linked to West, companies linked to Russia, companies linked to United Arab Emirates. Therefore, for me, as an African leaders have kept quiet. The AU has kept quiet. It does nothing for nothing at nothing. It was all the time too late, too little. They have come, they have talked. They can't reunify this country. So for me, I have gone ahead of time. I don't want Africa to charge me harshly when they ask me, why didn't you talk about this and go out in the International Criminal Court to put my case? I want this case to be heard
Hello, Dr. Masanga.
Yes.
Dr. Masanga, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, all right. We seem to be having, a few issues with your connection. But, let's talk about, you're talking about international powers. Let's speak about, Libya's location, and how it is strategically vital, bridging Africa and also the Mediterranean. How do regional players like Egypt and also Algeria perceive the importance, and what role do they play in preventing a partition despite their security concerns?
In fact, they have played a role, they are not impartial. They are part and parcel of the problem, especially Egypt. The regional powers, Algeria has been playing a role of pacification to make sure that Libya remains the same, that Libya does not remain a very dangerous pariah state among the two countries left, east and west. But Egypt has played a very negative role. They are the people supporting General Khalifa Haftar. Then the Russian enclave, the Russian mercenaries that have come in also complicating the matter, making America fall on the side of Tripoli because the Russians are falling on the side of General Khalifa Haftar. These are factors that the only court that can resolve to give warning to people is to get the root cause. What happened when Resolution 1970 of the United Nations Security Council was put on Libya, 1973, to protect Libya. Did the people protect Libya or did the people loot Libya? The looting is taking place, my sister. We cannot keep quiet.
All right. Now, according to reports, the National Oil Corporation and also the Central Bank of Libya have been quite instrumental, especially in mitigating division by managing oil revenues. Now, can you tell us how sustainable is this mechanism, this particular financial mechanism, especially in preventing further political fragmentation, especially, as the country remains divided over governance?
How do you manage resources when not in your hands? How do you manage them when they are in the hands of warlords? When they are in the hands of countries like Turkey, countries like UAE, countries like France? The French companies are taking oil illegally. So Sarkozy's companies is linked to the whole episode that brought down Libya. And how do you get that money? How do you collect it? When you can't even access some of the areas where these rebel groups are. You can't access east, you can't go south, you can't go towards the Chad border. There are over 30,000 rebel group men in uniform, equipped, supplied by UAE. And we know them. These are the same men who actually killed Idris Deby of Chad. The president of Chad was killed by the rebels who are in South Sudan, Libya. Whose army is this? The world must stand up and ask, whose army is this?
All right. Now, Dr. Masanga, the UN, when I read the intro, the UN, I talked about how the UN and its officials have actually raised concerns over Libya's sovereignty and unity. But how effective has the UN's approach been so far in facilitating dialogue and preventing the country's fragmentation?
The UN itself, my sister, is divided. 3 against 2. United Nations Security Council is gone. There is no United Nations Security Council anymore. China and Russia on one side, America, Britain, France on the other side. So, which UN will bring unity in Libya? The only way that unity can come to Libya is to bring some people to book. And I would like to tell you that I have taken the initiative to bring the former president Sarkozy, Nicolas Sarkozy of France, who was convicted for having over 4 billion euros in his bank. In his bank, this siphoning of oil money and so on, UN having tireless, AU having tireless effort. Let's bring some people to court to explain what happened while they still siphoning away the resources of Libya. I have done that. I've laid the papers to the International Criminal Court. This is the paper which you can see here. I've laid it there so that the chief prosecutor can ask for permission from the pre-trial chamber to go and investigate, find out what happened, who is part and parcel of this mess where you want to petition a country. If you go that route, my sister, of petitioning this country, other African countries will need petitioning. So we have to be very, very careful not to set a precedent where we want to petition Libya, yet we have the culprits, the people who caused Libya to collapse. It is Nicolas Sarkozy who made Libya to go down, and African leaders are not calling him out. He has been convicted, sentenced, and we in Africa have not even...
All right, if you can hear me, we still lost you for a bit there. But what I was asking is, you know, what exactly is preventing a breakthrough in military negotiations?
You can't break through because France wants it to remain that way so that they can siphon the oil, so that they can take the oil out. Nobody wants a breakthrough. Nobody among the United Arab Emirates does not want the breakthrough at all because they want the oil.
All right, now we'll take a quick break and try to reconnect with Dr. Matsanga just before we wrap up. Stay with us. Well, thank you for reconnecting with us. Thank you for staying tuned, and also thank you for reconnecting with us, Dr. Matsanga, if you can hear me. Now, just we're almost winding down, and we know you're talking about breakthrough just before the break, and many Libyan elites seem to prefer federalism as a practical response to division. Now, how does the push of federalism compared to the risks of full partition? Could it be a viable alternative to unification in Libya?
You can't petition. If you start petitioning, my sister, I am telling you, if we go that way, if African Union accepts that way, your state, your wrong place will be in chaos because that's what they want. You know very well that if you go back against the constitutive arrangement of the African Union, that the boundaries of 1884, we leave them as they are. If we go that route and start making any, concessions, we shall be in big trouble. So therefore, let's get the root cause. Let's get Sarkozy to pay for the crimes. Let him come and explain to the world. Be honest and tell the truth. Where did he get this money? Where is the money that he took from Gaddafi? That's all I want. That is all what Africans want. That's what Libyans want. You don't need to be a Libyan in order to approach the International Criminal Court. I'm a member of the ICC. My country, where I live in Britain, is a member of ICC. Uganda is a member of ICC. Therefore, I've moved there as an individual to make sure that I get Mr. Nicolas Sarkozy to come before. The French law allows us to pursue criminals, people who have committed human rights abuses in other countries. Therefore, we got him. Okay. I'm there and I've filed my papers.
Okay. Well, with that, I think we'd have to wrap up this discussion. But thank you so much, Dr. David Matsanga, for always coming through for us, African Affairs Analyst. We appreciate you for your time. And with that, we call it a wrap on this very interesting show, The Conversation. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I remain Darshan Usman. Until next time.